Alright, we'll see if that helps out a little bit. And so, Karma, you went to Jerry getting a little bit of damage onto Malcolm. She does have that classic Karma skin. That's something that I wanted to actually go through, if I could even get around to doing that, was everyone's skins, as this game has been all over the place due to the lag that I am receiving, unfortunately. So here, while the two teams are in place, we're going to jump over here to the Rocket Girl Tristana, as well as that awesome Hecarim skin. I think the Gragas is playing with the regular Gragas skin, and then of course that Battle Bunny Riven skin as well. So now that we have gone through that, if this game does not mind me so doing, I'm going to put everyone in their correct laning positions, since the game does seem to be going a little bit better and the lag seems to have died down just a bit. Morgana and Gragas support in that bottom lane. Mid lanes are going to be the Karma versus the Zed, like I thought. The junglers, Warwick and Hecarim in the top lane. Wukong and Riven going back and forth with those great skins as well. So, stream seems to have settled out. Game seems to have settled in. We are off and running for a great game. You went to Jared getting a little bit of damage on Zed, starting us off. Yet Surgi down to about half health there, as Barge in that top lane is going to continue to poke, going full AD. Wukong did decide to go with that shield, though, the Doran's shield. Zed already in that mid lane being taken down to about a fourth health there, but is going to be drinking one of those potions just to keep up there. Riven continuing to get a little bit of harass damage onto Barge. Everyone chugging potions across the map, other than in this bottom lane, where not a whole lot of action has happened so far. Gragas running his way over to the Tri-Bush to get a nice ward there. Going to keep vision in case Warwick comes around. These junglers did start each of their own on their blues. No invades or anything going down just yet. And that means that they will reach opposite lanes, opposite sides of the map at about the same time. So Warwick could jungle, or could gank bottom lane at the same time as Hecarim ganks top lane. Dark Binding onto Spartan will get a little bit of damage, but Gragas is well known for his continual regen. Riven backing off a little bit in that top lane. She's sitting at about half health with no more potions, but neither does Wukong have any potions. So they're both going to have to rely on their own tactics and abilities. Riven does have just a hair of lifesteal on that Doran's blade. However, you went to Jerry, going to be finding Malcolm get a nice snare onto him. He's pretty low health. However, she went underneath the tower. She's going to flash. She does have the ignite on her. Malcolm has not used his flash, waiting for the right opportunity. There he goes, flashes in, gets the last bit of damage. Was just waiting for her to turn to attack him, but he could just flash in and finish him off. So very nice job there in the mid lane. Karma just got a hair too close to the tower and then went down. That is actually something that I do all the time, is I think I have plenty enough health or distance from the tower, and then I go down, and it's just not cool. Warwick already getting a little bit of that speed boost thanks to Riven being lower health, so she is going to have to back off. But that is the problem with the Battle Bunny Riven, is it is almost impossible to catch her with all of her hops. Not that she is any more hard to catch than any other Riven, but the Battle Bunny skin just makes it seem like it's just that much harder to grab. Ice Huntress getting a little bit of good harass there in that bottom lane. Gragas support not doing anything crazy just yet. Surgi actually following, getting the ignite onto Barge. It will be enough, and that will finish him off. A second kill of the game, one for each team, flashing out of Warwick's reach. He is going to chase a little bit. Dark Binding onto Zero D, and that's a lot of damage from Jimbo Aizenly as well. Spartan actually tried to jump in, get a little bit of damage with that body slam. However, a beautiful spell shield from Ice Huntress is going to keep him still pretty healthy, despite not actually being a part of despite not having any heals, just using that spell shield to keep him alive. Karma making her way back into the mid lane, does have that double Doran, so is going to have some pretty good health. However, Zed's going to be doing a lot of damage with that Brutalizer early on, so he is going to be doing massive amounts of damage, and both of them decided to grab a lot of health. 4 potions there for the Zed, 3 potions on the Karma, so they're going to be doing quite just a lot of farming in the mid lanes, just a bit above Karma, but that is one of the best things about Karma, is that as your ability power scales towards the mid and late game, you can just farm waves without any problem whatsoever. 1 kill to 1, tied up on gold. This game is going towards the late game, at least so it seems at the moment. Gak and Dayer ganking at the same time in the mid lane, but it is blue team going to be backing off as Zed and Warwick have a lot less health than the other two mid laners. You went to Jared down about a third health, but still doing quite alright for herself. Top lane, Riven decided to go ahead and grab 2 longswords. Probably going to be going for that Ravenous Hydra build, as she is well known for. Hecarim also running around there, just kind of keeping an eye out on that that top lane, see if there's going to be opportunity to help out. They do think there was a ward in there. Is actually Wukong, I believe, pinged up there to say, hey, we know that Hecarim was right around here, but the ward is gone now, which means he doesn't have vision. Hecarim would be able to get off a good gank now, but he does not know the ward is gone, so he may back off. In the bottom lane, Sierra still doing a nice job. Only a little bit of farm over the Ezreal, however, doing a good job harassing him out, which allows that long range of Tristana to continue just little pokes here, little pokes there on the tower. Barge getting a bit of damage as Yatsuragi comes in and once again doing her harass in that top lane. She is 1-0, so doing a little bit better than Wukong so far. Did a nice job outplaying him when that Warwick gank was incoming. However, Gragas doing a nice job of warding down here. They can see the Warwick just off to the side. The Exhausto on Zero. He's going to get the jump, but it might not be enough as Ezra has his own jump. There's the heal from Zero. Going to keep him alive. The flash from Jimbo followed by the flash from Tristana. So many summoner spells out between all of these players, but that is Tristana making her way out alive. Ezreal just off to the side trying to poke in, but now Gak the System jumping in onto Malcolm. Will it be enough? The Ignite will finish him off, but his own ult onto Karma will not take her down, so she was able to live through that revenge kill 1-1 for both of them in the mid lane. Tristana did successfully back and went ahead and bought herself a very powerful BF sword. Now, that Ezreal, though, will also have just as much gold and be able to back off, be able to buy it himself. However, as I'm talking in the top lane, those two just went back and forth, and Sergei grabbed up a great kill up there as well, waiting for Wukong to use his ultimate and then start to back off for her to use that long range of her own ultimate to finish him before he could escape. Returning to base, says the Ezreal ultimate, and there's that Ghost Bride Morgana recall noise that just kind of creeps you out just a little bit. You don't really want to be hanging around too much. Ezreal's outfit already starting to upgrade itself. You can see the great graphics that is. And as both of them did back, Gragas says, I haven't really backed. I only have some cookies. And that means I really want to go back and finish up the beginnings of that Relic Shield. So he's already got that Targon's Brace, grabbing up a lot of wards. Look at all of those wards and switching his trinket out for that sweeping lens. So he's going to have even more of a great job clearing those wards from blue team, or team 666, which I totally forgot to put in the team names when I was confused and figuring out all of the stuff about the stream that's not doing well. Zed going down once again in the mid lane with a great Hecarim gank, as well as the Karma follow. She did flash over the wall just to see if that's where he was jumping to, but the Ignite finished him off. So that is a 4th kill for Team High Buklao. As Team 666 is having a little bit of a difficulty. However, they are only down 1,000 gold, which is really good, because despite being down in kills, they're still very heavily farmed, and that is what you want. That ult from Gragas, though, not going to be doing a whole lot. Nice spell shield from Ice Huntress is actually going to keep her alive, completely spell shielded, and Jimbo Aizenly going to be finishing off Gragas, and now turning on to Zero. I don't think that Zero has enough damage to finish him off, as those two ADs are the only people left. The junglers slowly making their way maybe towards that bottom lane. However, they are just going to be alone for a while. There's a flash and jump in from Riven. She's got a lot of damage onto Barge with that Ignite. Should finish him off. The tower chunking down the Riven, but she knew, despite him turning invisible, that Ignite was going to finish him off, and that's what she wanted. Sierra going ahead and using that jump ability to try to escape. As Dayer makes his way, he did have that speed boost, using that ultimate to get a lot of damage onto Sierra and hold him in place long enough for him then to just auto attack and finish off that 80. And that is the first time Tristana went down. Ezreal now having an opportunity to catch up and farm in that bottom lane, as Gragas, who did die earlier, has made his way back into the lane a little bit faster than the Morgana. Maybe a mix of buying different items as well, or is buying a little bit faster than Morgana, as well as he does have that body slam, which moves himself a little bit quicker than the Morgana. However, if Morgana finds this pink ward, it's going to be very bad, considering that Gragas really can't defend the pink ward too well. But she doesn't. She just walks right past that bush, doesn't see it, and that is a still live and healthy pink ward, which is very good for purple team because you want those pink wards to last at least 3 minutes to be worth spending that much gold to buy them. A lot of really bursty champions from blue team coming out here. You've got the Ezreal, who can just dump a lot of damage onto you very quickly. The Zed as well, jumping in, jumping out. The only really tanky one is the Warwick, which is really good that they at least have a tank, because they are going to need a front line to deal with the front line that will be purple team between the Riven and the Hecarim. Hecarim jumping in and initiating, followed up by all of the damage that Riven is, and from the back line comes everyone else on purple team. Blue team themselves, though, with great CC and Engage, the Morgana Dark Binding, as well as the ultimate from Wukong, will make for some very interesting team fights. I will feel that it's going to be very one-sided or the other-sided. So Morgana going ahead and using her ultimate. The fear, though, from Hecarim is going to put both of them and stick them around there for a little bit. Sierra actually underneath the tower now using the ultimate will be able to finish off the Ezreal using that heal and now leaping over the wall, but Ice Huntress with the last auto attack actually finishing her off as she leapt over the wall. So great job from Ice Huntress sticking to her, and Tristana went very hard underneath the tower. I guess she was hoping that her teammate would stick around, or teammates would stick around for a while underneath the tower, but instead they just backed straight off. They saw that Morgana ultimate come out. They knew there wasn't going to be too much opportunity to continue to engage, so they decided to back off. However, that is Tristana picking up a kill, whereas Ezreal only got an assist for that. So still going over a little bit to purple team's side of things. Warwick's going to have to gank a good bit to make up for the now about 2,000 gold difference between these two teams. He is sitting just off in the mid lane. There is no ward there, so Karma does not know that he is there. That is going to be Zed engaging, and he's going to back off, which may be the perfect time for Warwick to come in. There's that Ignite as well, going to be putting him at lower health. However, I guess Karma's not going to re-engage on the Zed, which she could have easily killed him between all of the damage that stun, as well as her Q just continues to pour out. And so Warwick, I guess, just kept his teammate alive rather than getting a good gank on the Karma. He does have that ultimate available, but decided not to engage. Instead, waiting for use of that ultimate to secure a kill instead of just potentially do the same thing that walking in and walking away would do as well. Gragas in that bottom lane using a nice barrel to actually finish off minions, giving those heals over to Tristana. They continues to get Dark Binding, but sometimes it's really hard to dodge those, so forgiveness given on that sense. As Barge in that top lane continues to try to defend that top lane tower. Still about 2k gold between the two teams. Karma did pick up a needlessly large rod, so they're going to have a lot of damage. Dayer actually finding that pink ward finally and clearing it out. Nice Dark Binding, though, from Ice Huntress onto Zero. Is going to put his health very low. Might be enough if Jimbo Aizenly does have his ultimate up. He decides not to use it, though. Could use it to stop her from backing. Instead, deciding, though, just to keep pushing. I think it would be a kill. I think if he used it, it would kill her. Maybe he just doesn't know that, isn't paying attention to the fact that it's up. Maybe he's playing a little bit safe, waiting for a full engage before going in. As Malcolm in the mid lane once again stunned, going to take a little bit more damage. Tristana healing in the meantime. And so I guess, yeah, he does not know as well that the Tristana ultimate is, or the Tristana heal is down. So Ice Hunter's taking a little bit of damage from Spartan, who just decides to fully engage, getting a nice barrel, explosive barrel down, and that is going to be Jimbo Aizenly, getting a lot of damage from the rest of the team. Gragas is too much to deal with. He flashes off to the side, throwing out the ultimate, but it's not going to take down Tristana as it just missed, and that is with a last barrel roll. Gragas, Spartan finishing off the Ezreal, picking up that kill. Malcolm actually dashing back towards the Karma, just trying to side layup. Look at the dodging. Great job as he dodges back and forth to those shadow clones to keep himself alive, using that ultimate to continue to stay out of Hecarim's ultimate as well. So fancy footwork from Malcolm indeed as he stays alive. Warwick trying to jump in and finish off the Karma, but not going to be quite enough. Wukong burning his ultimate just to try to escape from the Riven, who continues to just burst in. There she goes, jumping in once again, using the flash and engage and the ultimate to finish him off as he's just trying to recall. That poor monkey man, now 0-4, unable to simply just leave his tower. That's all he wanted to do, give him a little bit of a break. knock him down to about half health, but it is going to drop a lot faster. Ice Hunter's coming in, doing nice spell shield, just in case that barrel had gone off, but it did not, throwing out that start binding, finishing off a minion as the rest of the blue team dodging all of these Gragas barrels. Gragas support really coming in huge. 1-1-3 has the regen to stick around in lane for a really long time, the relic shield to finish off minions and heal his team up, as well as the mobility that is that body slam. Just really, really good to be able to get around, put down those wards, keep vision for his team. Ezreal and Tristana continuing to farm back and forth in this bottom lane. Still very even, only about 3 farm difference, as Tristana is actually going to fill that back up. Now only 1 farm difference between these two in the bottom lane. Infinity Edge finished for Tristana, as Ezreal is beginning that Trinity Force and has not quite gotten there just yet. The Sheen as well as that Phage. However, Morgana making her way down there, looking possibly to help out Ezreal once again. They did take that bottom turret tower, so that is the first tower going over to Team High Buklao. However, that is not game just yet. Blue team now down about 4k gold, having a little bit of a difficult time, but still a fun game nonetheless, as Zed continues to stick around in that mid lane with Karma. She did finish off the Zanyas, so it's going to be much harder to take down now that she has that. However, Zed also finished that Youmuu's, something like that, Ghost Blade, and so he's going to have a lot of movement speed when he does engage. Yeah, Sergey just keeping Wukong from getting any farm in that top lane, 66 to the 118. Warwick, though, jumping straight in onto Hecarim besides the dragon. The purple team did get the dragon, so I believe that is either the first or second dragon of the game. However, that is their jungler going down for it, and that means that they should be able to grab blue buff as well. Warwick actually backing off, waiting for that barrel to to explode, but the barrel did enough damage to actually give blue buff over to Gragas, who actually picked it up. So UNT Jared getting taken very low health. Pink does have a ward in, or sorry, purple team does have a ward in there. UNT Jared trying to dodge the Ezreal, going ahead and Zanyazing. Will it be enough though to keep her alive? Getting a lot of damage onto Ice Huntress. There's that speed boost as well. The nice body slam from Gragas, keeping him alive just a little bit longer. UNT Jared finally going down to the red buff on the Ezreal, as blue team now turns it on to Spartan, who with that blue buff is going to have a lot of cooldowns, but a great job from that Spartan body slam, stopping Warwick from getting within range to finish off the Karma, as she almost was able to escape, but very difficult to escape from an Ezreal with a blue buff. 6 kills to 11. Team 66 struggling just a bit, as Team High Buklao has outplayed on most areas of the map and are just trying to keep their head above water. These ADs almost completely even. 3 kills, 2 assists, or sorry, 2 deaths, 1 assist. Just crazy how even those two are. As the junglers, I think the only difference really between these two teams is that 4 kills from Riven in that top lane versus the 4 deaths of Wukong. We see that 1-1-2 on the Hecarim, the 1-0-2 with the Warwick. 1-1-3 for the Gragas, 1-2-3 for Morgana, so it's pretty even across the board other than in that top lane. So Riven may be that key factor for purple team winning the game, as she already has 4 kills under her belt and doing quite well. Both teams now collecting in the mid lane for a classic ARAM game of League of Legends. Let's play the mid lane game. Who has the greater poke at the moment? Karma's looking really strong with that poke, as well as Gragas. This may be blue team handing the tower over. No, Morgana's going to go in. She does have one of those chains left, not going to land, and that is actually Warwick now jumping in onto Hecarim as Ezreal throws out the ultimate, getting a lot of damage on the rest of the team. Tristana picking up 1 kill, Ezreal as well picking up 1. Morgana finishing off the Riven, which is huge, as that is their main source of damage for purple team. Tristana, though, still not down for the money just yet. There's the flash from UNT Jared, actually jumping in, trying to get the last bit of damage onto Malcolm. Ezreal as well alive on the side. 3 up for both teams, but there is a beautiful double kill from Karma, throwing out that Q. We're actually going to jump back for just a second and re-watch that Q, because I was not expecting it. So Warwick doing a nice job of holding down Hecarim long enough for Ezreal to pick it up. Ezreal's going to flash off to the side. Malcolm and Ice Huntress both low health, and they're going to go even lower as you went to Jared's going to get a little bit of damage. And now we're going to just slow motion this last shot from Yuen to Jared. Both of them sitting at about 2 bars of health. And there is that Q finishing both off. Double kill over to the Karma. Nice job. And that is going to be Purple Team taking that tower. Zero is very low health, however, I don't believe that the quarter health Ezreal is going to be able to engage on either one of those, especially with the super powerful Karma that is chilling right there as well. She is going to be taking the tower shots, though. That's 2 tower shots that she took as she walked away. Does have the double Doran's rings, though, so still going to be doing pretty well. Despite that, she does have a good bit of health on top of all of the ability power with that Zanya's. Wukong deciding to give up his top lane and instead just go and focus farming the rest of the jungle and just focus on doing that, or not the jungle, but the bottom lane instead, kind of trading up a little bit, knowing that instead of continuing to feed Riven, may as well at least try to do something else. Riven is making her way in, going a little bit deep ward there. She does, why do I hear, just heard Ezreal ult for some reason. I think the audio's off a little bit. There's the Zed speed up. That's what I'm looking for. Warwick did not ult. The audio is just freaking out. Where are we at with audio? Ezra getting a little bit of damage onto Riven. Looking for possibly an engage. Yeah, the audio is still just completely off. There we go. We're hearing double audio. How interesting. I've never had this experience before. There's a shutdown that did not happen. So what we're going to try to do is we're just going to jump it straight up a little bit. There we go. I think that we seem to have caught back up with the game. There we go. We're back to live as the rest of that team fight played out, which we did not get to see too much of, but we're not going to be hearing double audio, and that is really what I was trying to fix. It seems that the background audio continued with the normal game despite me slowing it down, so I may have to let Riot know about that one because do not want that happening in future games. 11 kills to 18. Team High Buklao doing very well for themselves. About 6k gold in the lead and continuing to very slowly expand that out. Neither team really have pushed into Baron. However, blue team does have some great late game potential. Zed moving in onto Gragas, going to knock him down to about half health there. However, Riven showed up, so the blue team decided, hey, maybe we should back off on that. Malcolm with the red buff, though, going to be doing damage when he decides to jump on an enemy. He did not go full out on the Gragas, saving his damage for a more squishier target, which is what you want to do as Zed. And there is the dragon coming up. Blue team going to be making their way over there. I think that purple team got the first dragon of the game. Blue team considering it, instead going to be backing off. Wukong waiting just in the bush off to the side there, saying, let us bait this out. They don't know that we're here. We've got the wards. Let us do this. However, Tristana is going to be sitting on a ward, so they do have vision of that, and now they have vision in that ward as well. So the bait really didn't help them too much. 3 people in the mid lane for both teams, and that is actually blue team now collecting a little bit stronger. Tristana kind of caught off to the side. We'll see if they can finish off the tower, do something while Tristana makes her way around. Nope, she has finally joined the battle, so it is now both teams full power in the mid lane, except blue team has lost their Zed. He decided to go bottom lane and to push that instead. Warwick making his way around to join. The blue team has lost that first tower, so they're going to have to be pushed back to their second tower to defend that while Zed is in that bottom lane pushing. And now giving it over to purple team that's going to be pushing for this dragon. This could be really good for purple team to continue to expand out their gold lead, or it could be really bad if they get jumped on and just don't really have much of a response. Blue team's going to have to make their way around, though, really fast. There's a Ezreal, but no, Hecarim picks it up with the smite. Great job, but that Gragas ultimate is going to knock Morgana away. Her ultimate's not going to finish on the Hecarim. Everybody sacrificing so many ultimates just for the Hecarim, and that means the rest of purple team is free to disengage at their leisure. Riven, though, is going to re-engage. Will she have enough damage to finish off anybody? She does finish off the Ezreal, but now Zed running around on the outside has a little bit of that shield. Going to be jumping onto Zero, get a lot of damage. The ultimate might not be enough to finish. The Ignite's ticking away. That will not finish her off, though. So low health. And now Barge kind of caught out between these two, jumping back and forth. Will he be able to escape? I don't think so. The AoE from Karma just enough to finish him off. Zero, so extremely low health, had to have been in the single digits to walk away from that one. As well as purple team not only picking up every kill for blue team, I think they got an ace, but also was able to pick up the dragon as well. So they just expanded their gold lead almost to about 10,000 gold, which is very good for them. Very good for them. Riven now 5-3, was shut down a couple of times, but Wukong having a very hard time coming back at all. Ezreal doing a nice job defending this mid lane tower, but Tristana looking really strong now, 7-3. Finished off the Infinity Edge and the Static Shiv, starting off with that, or starting that boar with the Cutlass. So we'll just continue to do damage and can now start to walk through that tank line of the Warwick. Not that she's having a problem with the Wukong, considering the Wukong only has that little bit of armor from the Sunfire Cape to try to do the best to protect him. He is going to be pushing this top lane, though, and nobody from purple team's really responding. There's the ping. However, I don't know if anybody will get there in time to actually stop him from taking the tower, as he's getting pretty good damage on it. You went to Jared, getting a little bit of damage onto Zed. There's that ward over the wall. And in that top lane, Wukong did get the tower, actually. Minions picking it up, but now he's going to have to make his way through at least 3 members, if not 4 members of purple team as they start looking for him. But instead, he's just going to recall, take the long way around, but it's the safe way around, and that's the way to go. So that is a bit of gold in the pockets of blue team. That Gragas going to jump in, go ahead and use the ultimate to knock Ice Huntress right into the enemy team. She's going to go ahead and use the ultimate. I don't think she's going to keep it alive long enough, getting a nice stun onto both Gragas and Hecarim. Spartan coming in further, even underneath the tower. However, that spell shield is going to keep Morgana alive. Riven trying to escape. However, Zed is just on her heels. Warwick as well chasing in. 1 Q from Warwick should be enough, but Ezreal picks up the kill. Kill secure with the ultimate. Tristana leaping in with massive damage to finish off Jimbo Ainsley from over the wall, but Wukong says, I'm not done with you, let me use my ultimate, knock you up. So you're actually now using that second jump to leap over the wall. You're going to have to wait a good long cooldown to be able to continue to escape, as Warwick now chases in with the Wukong as well. Zed making his way around the top lane. You went to Jared, throwing out one of those Qs, not going to land on Zed though, as Zed now like, oh whoa, I thought I was expecting a whole team here, I'm all by myself. Warwick making his way back around the back end of Dragon. Purple team still collected, 3-man strong. Going to be pushing in. They did not finish off the Morgana, as she was actually able to escape just before Zero went hard and grabbed the kill on Ezreal. And so she was able to make it out, doing really, really well. 3, 4, and 7. Finally finished the Zhonya's as well. So when she uses that ultimate, is in the middle of that 4 or 5 members of purple team, can use the Zhonya's to keep herself in complete safety. So purple team, for all of that though, still did not get this mid lane tier 2 tower. So they're going to have to fight for it once again. And now that Morgana has that Zhonya's as well in her arsenal, things are going to get very, very hairy. 15 kills to 23. Doing very well, purple team, but the game is not over yet. Jimbo Ainsley taking very low health. The Riven rushing in with the ultimate, going to finish him off. Ice Huntress deciding maybe not to engage. Got the fish, just going to go down. The fear too strong from the Hecarim, who tanked 2 towers to get that. Warwick just being shut down as the rest of purple team just collapses in. That fast engage from Riven just took purple or blue team by complete surprise. Finished off the AD before he could do anything about it. The fear from Hecarim strong enough to finish off the Morgana as well. So there was nothing left for blue team to actually defend either of those towers and the inhibitor with, and just crumpled. Wukong considered pushing in that top lane tower. However, the rest of the team decided to tell him just to back off. Not worth getting killed over. may as well instead just back and defend the base. While purple team now looking at starting this Baron, unless blue team responds immediately while there are still basic minions that are pushing into their base. This Baron is going to go over to purple team. They're already almost finished it. Ezreal threw out the ultimate, but not going to be enough to finish it off. And Hecarim with another perfect smite finishes off the Baron before heading back to base to buy a lot of new pretty items with all of their extra gold. There's that weird echo from trying to match it up so there isn't that weird echo again, is that audio is just a little bit off between the two thanks to that weirdness that was earlier. I wonder why it's happening. But 15 kills to 27, 13k gold in the lead. Can purple team look any stronger? But blue team isn't over just yet. Look at the damage though from the Karma onto Barge, taking him down a quarter health already. Just having a very difficult time this game. They do have those super minions pushing into their base, so purple team's just gonna be able to waltz right down the line with it. Barge waiting just off to the side, waiting to see if there's an opportunity for him to engage, but purple team senses it. They're gonna back off, saying we're not interested in fighting that. Dragon already back up. Purple team says let's go ahead and take it once again, and that is going to be their third dragon of the game, I believe. On top of already having Baron, and now purple team's looking at engaging on blue team as the poke from that Karma just continues to knock their health down. Malcolm getting caught out by Gragas though. His health's going to be dropping. Spartan doing a nice job of continuing to slow. Sierra actually jumped in and using the flash, and one auto attack should be enough to finish him off. There's that ult, or the Zanya's from Karma. Maybe going to keep her alive long enough with the beautiful flash over the wall. Dayer just chasing in, but 1v3 not going to be enough. Barge now trying to fake out use with that, trying to fake it out, but not going to be enough. Ribbon says, I'm strong enough, I can go ahead and finish your clone off, if that is you, and then turn on the rest of the thing. I think it's the fact that he actually auto-attacked that gave it over the fact that he wasn't cloned. Was because the clone doesn't auto-attack. It simply sits there and then kind of does that spin around. But game over to purple team as Team High Buklao finishes the game off 32 kills to 15. Super strong. So despite having a very rough start with the stream, we seem to have been able to get through the rest of the game without too much difficulty. And look at how freaked out this everything is. Like, I don't even know. Maybe that's why there was an echo, was that I was using, there's two windows of League up. That would have explained it, is that I had two windows up, which was crazy. So I stream from 9 to 11 usually, so EST, so try to catch me on at those times. I am, you can check it anytime by going to my stream. But now, jumping off. So, great games tonight from you guys. Thank you for an awesome opportunity to shoutcast once again for you. Was a lot of fun.